Hey mamas, you are listening to the Motherhood is Ghetto podcast. We all know motherhood can be a beautiful thing, but girl, it can also be ghetto. Join me as we discuss some of the best and worst parts of being a mom raising kids, all while trying to figure out this thing called life. This ghetto is a safe space, mamas. So welcome to the hood. Hey mamas, welcome back to another episode of Motherhood is Ghetto. My name is Joy, and how y'all doing out there? If y'all doing all right, say amen. So as promised, this is another book club episode. That's my Jamaican dance hall horn effect. But I hope you guys have had a good week. I hope you guys are having a good day. If you're not, for some reason, I pray whatever it is that's hindering you from having a good day be removed from your area, your space, your time and attention, so that way you can get to having a great day. This week was pretty cool for me. It was a long work week for some reason. This week just felt long as hell. This month feels long as hell. I don't know why, but to me, like, it's just April is feeling like another January. It was just like the longest month of the year. I don't know, but definitely looking forward to April being over and going into May. Looking forward to the summertime and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, this week was pretty good. Got a lot of things accomplished this week. And yeah, just chill. Nothing special or fancy happened this week. So let's get into it. Amen. Let's start off with a question of the week. So, I want to know if your child did something illegal. And when I say illegal, it's like something like they could definitely go to jail for. They could do like some time for. Like it's like some serious like class A felony type thing. And they come to you and they're like, "Mom, oh, I did this thing, like, but, like, could you tell him, like, I was here, like, the whole time at your house? Like, could you lie for me? Could you cover for me?" Um, if your child came to you with something like that, like, would you do it? I think about, I don't know why, but I think about things like that a lot. Like, what if my child was like, "Mom, back me up. Like, I can't go to jail. Like, I can't let them boys get me." I think about that a lot for some reason. I'm like, would I risk my freedom too? Like for my child, would I risk, legal ramifications, and lie for my child or lie and give my child an alibi, knowing good and well he did that shit or she did that shit. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like, I want to say yeah, because it's like, okay, you know, if we're gonna do this, hey, we either gonna get away together or we going down together. But I guess also too would depend on what stage I'm at in my life. Like, if all my kids are grown and I ain't got nothing to lose, like, well, I mean, I feel like everyone has something to lose, but um, just like if it meant that like if I didn't have any kids to take care of or like no real like responsibilities, like I didn't have a job, like I'm just you know living on retirement and like it's just I don't know. It would just depend on the circumstances for me because I don't know. I don't know if yeah, it would just have to depend. Now, now on the flip side, like when you ask the question in a different way, like will you go to jail for your child, like would you kill for your child, like knowing like the consequences you going to jail, like 100%. Like or if someone hurt your child and like you gotta, you know what I'm saying, like you gotta defend your child, yeah, of course. But like would I willingly will I be a willing participant in lying and aiding and abetting? Like I don't know, like I don't know if I would do that, but um I would definitely inflict harm on somebody if they harm my child. And so I don't know, it's a catch-22. But what are y'all's thoughts and opinions on that? What would you do? Would you would you help your child lie? Would you lie for them to keep them out of trouble with the laws, keep them from going to jail, or is your freedom too precious? And do they would you tell them like, hey, you got to face the music and take accountability for what you did? Like, I'm sorry, but man, I'll come visit you in jail. I'll write you whatever you need me to do. But hey, you did the crime. Now you got to do the time. Or are you ride or die for your kids until the end, no matter what? So yes, so that's the question of the week, mamas. So let's get into the book club episode. I believe this is book club meeting number 5. I believe. And we're halfway through the book. If you do not know already, we are reading the book, The Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom: Build Wealth, Retire Early, and Live the Life of Your Dreams by Paris Woods. And last time we met, we started chapter 4. Chapter 4 is called Get Out, and it's all about creating a plan to get yourself out of debt. Now, let's talk about debt a little bit. And this was a good chapter. This chapter was really juicy and chock full of great advice and like a good like description of a roadmap and actual actionable steps that you can take to get yourself out of debt. So one of the main things on this chapter, like first of all, if you're like around my age, the late 30s, going into like early 40s type thing, then we have some sort of debt, like whether it's student loan debt or it's debt with cars or loans, because I feel like my generation and generations before me, especially uh, you know, black people in the black community, we didn't have access to the type of information regarding debt and surrounding debt that Paris talks about in this chapter. We just didn't we didn't know. We didn't know. um so like I said, if you're my age or in my generation, then you definitely have some type of debt. Luckily for me, like I don't have too much debt. Like I don't have like student loan debt because I paid off my student loans. Um and so like for me, creating a plan like to get out of debt looks a little bit easier for me than it may for someone else, but that's okay because the direction that she gives, it can fit. It can fit whether you've got a lot of debt or a little bit of debt that you're trying to just knock out. So she goes in on the chapter. So she talks about starting with a technique like a snowball effect, where you start with your smallest debt first and paying that off little by little, and then working your way up to larger debts with larger interest rates, until you eventually pay off everything. And then she also talks about how you can create a tracker for yourself to track and manage your debt. And then also she goes into different ones you can download and all that good stuff. And also too, she talks about finding extra money to pay off those debts. And again, it's one of those things like Now in this day and age, like there's a plethora of ways that we can make extra money on the side hustling, and that just wasn't available back then. So, there's Uber, there's Instacart, and all these, delivery services. There's, online services. You can offer your services, or, you can tutor kids on the side. You can babysit and walk pets. Like, there's so many things that you could do now to make extra money, so that way you can use that towards paying off your debt. And that's where a lot of us struggle, right? A lot of us struggle with finding the extra money to be able to pay off the debt, because our normal income, pays the bills, and we make enough money to pay what we need to pay to get by, but we rarely have enough, like, to to save, let alone to pay off debt with. So she does talk about different ways, like, to make some extra money, so that way you could just put that extra money towards, you know, your debts. So whether that means like picking up, a side hustle, or saving money on like your normal routine. So if you go get your hair done every month, maybe possibly learning how to do your own hair, or so that way you save that money, or taking getting your nails done out of the budget and doing your nails at home, and just ways that you can save a little extra cash so you could put that towards your debt, and not looking at it like you have to pay like all this amount at once, like, in chipping away at your debt little by little. So she talks about that, and then also to like negotiating bills and stuff, seeing where you can drop some of your bills down, or taking extra features or streaming services away, so that way you have the extra money to put towards your debt. And then also in this chapter, she talks about dealing with resistance, and kind of the things that we tell ourselves in order to convince ourselves that we can't pay off the debt, or we don't have enough money to pay off the debt, or the way our life or our situation is set up is not feasible to be able to pay off debt, or the amount of debt that you have. So she goes through some resistance reframes, where what you may say to yourself, as opposed to how you can reframe it to change your mindset around how you're feeling about debt, or how you're feeling about paying off your debt. So I'll go through, let's see, really quickly, let's just go through some of the different mindsets around debt that some of us may have, and then the reframe, how we can reframe it to change our mindset. So the first one is, I can barely make ends meet as it is. How can I pay off debt when I barely have enough money to pay my bills? Dang, I just got paid. How is it that I'm out of money already? I haven't even paid my credit card bill. Guess I'll pay the minimum again. She describes this as a justified mindset. So you justify not paying your debt, or either paying the bare minimum on credit card or whatever, because you don't make enough, or you only make enough to make ends meet. So the reframe of that justified mindset, she calls a curious mindset. And that looks like, how many of my bills are debt payments? Could doing something drastic like selling my car or working a part-time job wipe out one of these debts and give me more room to breathe? Who do I owe, and how long am I willing to pay them out of my earnings? Let me call them to get clear on my payoff date and see if I have any options. And this is really important, and she talks about this in the chapter 2, like us being afraid to look at exactly how much we owe or how much debt we have. Like, we're afraid to look at the credit report, or call the company to find out, like, hey, like, what do I owe, how many more payments, like, how much longer do I have to do this, or how long is this going to take? So if we get more curious about our finances and start brainstorming different ways that we can pay it down, then it eliminates that justify mindset. So next she describes the complacent mindset. If I had the time to make more money to pay off debt, I'd be doing it already. That's a complacent mindset. And then the reframe of that is the strategic mindset. The system is getting too much of my time for far too little money. How can I increase my income so my time becomes more valuable? I don't know why I'm willing to work harder for my company rather than investing in myself. It's time for a change. That's a word, y'all. she she's spitting bars right there. Amen. Um, so then she describes a cynic mindset. Debt is a way of life. I'll be working until I die anyway, so I might as well enjoy it. They are the ones that keep approving me for these credit cards, so I may as well enjoy life while my credit is good. And the reframe of that is a realist mindset. What if an emergency comes up and I can no longer work? What if I get tired of working? Getting out of debt now will give me the freedom to make different choices later if I want. That's also a word right there. And I think that's where I'm at. I think right now, as far as like my financial goals and like my financial journey, I think I'm in a realist mindset right now for sure. When I just, step back and look at my own situation and what I've been doing, I think I definitely relate to that. So next is a scarcity mindset. But I have kids. How can I get out of debt and juggle the financial costs of parenthood? And the reframe of that is a legacy mindset. How can I create boundaries between what my kids want versus what they need so that I can set a reasonable budget? How can I involve my kids in the process so they gain financial literacy and feel part of the team? Y'all, I feel like I just said that I identify with the reframe before. I also identify with this because over the past year, like I've really had to get clear, like, okay, what do my kids want versus what do they need? And really setting like a budget up for us, like even down like to like our grocery budget. When I went out of town with my daughter to Dreamville Fest, I had a budget. I had a certain amount of money that I was not gonna go over as far as spending. That included everything, included food, any merch that we wanted to buy, like all that stuff. Like I went out of town with a budget, and it's hard like when you're traveling, you're on vacation, and it's hard like to keep that budget in mind because like you're wanting to spend money, like you're not at home, so it's not like you could cook for yourself, like, or unless you get like an Airbnb or something. But I didn't do that. I haven't done Airbnb before. Probably not ever gonna do it, but maybe, I don't know. But yeah, like I had a budget planned for us before we went out there, and I had it in my mind like, okay, this is what we're gonna spend, and we're not gonna go over it. If we come up under it, great, but we're not going over it. And also too, like involving my kids in the process so that way they gain financial literacy. So I'm very transparent with my children as far as our finances because I think it's important that they know like where we stand and what we're able to afford and what we cannot afford. And kids have like a flippant they have a flippant idea of money and the value and like you know, just the way things cost and how everything is set up in general. Like they think that if you have like $100, then like you got a lot of money. But we all know, us adults know that in today's economy, like $100 like doesn't go as far as it did, 20, 30 years ago. So I do involve my kids as far as, you know, our finances, so they know, like, they know that if they ask me for something, they know kind of like, okay, I know that, we can afford this, or, you know, maybe I shouldn't ask for this. This costs a lot. I'm going to have to save for this. And so my kids understand like what savings is. So when they do see something that they want and they know like it's got like a high price tag, they're like, okay, I need to save for this. And so sometimes what they'll do, like, they'll tell me like, okay, instead of you, Mom, don't give me my allowance this month, I want to save that. Um, I want to save that in my account so that way, because I'm saving up for something. And so they at least understand that. But I do involve them. So but I think this is great too, because she does bring up a great point. Like, when we have kids, it's hard to save. Like, it's hard. They always need something. Things come up, school activities, sports, clothes, shoes, like, just things come up. So yeah, I definitely can feel the scarcity mindset side of it, because I've been there before. But I feel like now I'm also in a legacy mindset. And the last one is a resigned mindset. This whole process is taking too long. I have so much debt and it seems like there's no end in sight. This sounds like I'm going to miss out on life. Besides, Donald Trump doesn't pay his debts. Girl, what? This was written during the pandemic, so the president he was in office. So, but yeah, that's wild. Please don't use that as a reference point, because that man, boy, that's a wild one right there. So, anyways, the reframe to that is a resolute mindset. I can focus on paying off smaller debts now to feel some success. Then I can set up a plan to automatically pay down the rest over time while focusing on other things. So, this mindset, what we may say to ourselves, and then the reframe of it, changing our mindset, I think is gold. Like, I honestly do, because money and how we manage it is all about mindset. How we think about money, our relationship with money. And a lot of us don't have very good relationships with money, because we saw our parents handle money and deal with money in not so great ways. And we only know what we saw, or what we were taught or not taught. So I mean, it's definitely understandable. So I feel like the majority of us, like, we're all in the same boat, where we're just, we're trying to make ends meet, and we're trying to, make our sense make sense, so, and then she ends the book, or not the book, she ends the chapter with a summary, as you already know. So we'll go over the summary of chapter 4, and then we'll get into the start of chapter 5. So, summary. If you are in debt, take stock of where you are by making a list of everything you owe. Look through your bills and credit reports to find all of the relevant info. Decide what debt payoff method you will pursue. Will you choose the snowball method for momentum, or the avalanche method to tackle extreme levels of debt? Do whatever you can to cut expenses and generate extra cash to put towards your debts. This short-term sacrifice will be more than worth it in the end. Remember, there is nothing more important than your freedom. Amen, Paris. Amen. So, next chapter is, well, actually, we're in part 2 of the book, so we're smack dab in the middle. And chapter 5 is titled Dream. What would you do if you didn't have to work for money? This is a popular question that career advisors and life coaches ask when trying to help someone identify their true passions. It's a great question to consider. If money weren't an object so that all of your needs were met, what would you really want to spend your time doing? I've asked myself this question many times over the years. My answers led me along a career path that has included traveling the country to tell students about cool educational opportunities, driving policy changes to make higher education more accessible, and starting a nonprofit to support students in my community in earning a college degree. If the chapter on education in this book is any indication, education is a topic that I care a lot about. The answers have also led me to visit nearly every continent, live in different cities across the country, record a studio album, and pursue my doctorate. The most recent time I was asked this question, it was posed a little bit differently. I was participating in a syndicate program for early stage black philanthropists in education. One of the program activities asked us to envision our lives 20 years into the future. This time around, I spent a lot of time thinking through my answer. In the past, I would ask myself similar questions to figure out my very next steps in life. But this time around, I was developing the vision for my future in the long term. In my experience, 20-year plans can be difficult to nail down because there's really no way to know who will be 2 decades from now. Our interests change, we evolve and mature along the way, and hopefully our older and wiser selves have different goals than any we can come up with right now. I think of a friend who dreamed of being a lawyer ever since she was a little girl. She worked hard in school, went to a good college, and a good law school. Then finally, after about 25 years of hard work, she landed her dream job as an attorney. The problem was she hated it. Despite all of the hard work and planning it took to get there, she hated every moment of being a lawyer and dreaded waking up in the morning and heading down to the firm. The career she was obsessed with as a kid turned out not to be the right fit for her as an adult. There are plenty of lessons that we can take away from her story, including the importance of test driving career choices along the way by shadowing, doing internships, and finding ways to get bite sized career experiences. But there's also a larger lesson we can learn, one that's been proven by psychologists who study human behavior. The truth is, the truth is that we are terrible predictors of what will make us happy in the future. We just have no idea. And when we try to figure it out, we often get it wrong. Why am I telling you this at the beginning of a chapter that is all about coming up with a vision for your future? I have a couple of good reasons. First, I want to take some of the pressure out of the process. I don't want you to go into this thinking that you're going to come up with the perfect life vision and that if you don't achieve every single thing on your list that you've somehow failed. This isn't about planning the perfect life on behalf of your future self. It's about tapping into your deepest desires so that you can start walking down the road that most calls to you. Whoo, a word. So that is the start of chapter 5. And I really enjoyed chapter 5 too when I read it, because I think about that a lot in this stage of my life. And I talked about it a little bit in my last podcast episode, whereas things that I thought that I wanted for my life, like I no longer want anymore. And it's like my mindset has shifted and it's just I see something different for my future and I envision it. But not like 20 years down the line, like I see like my my more my more current future. um I see a different vision for it, and that's okay. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Like, it's okay, mamas, to change your mind. It's okay to pivot and change course. It's okay to start over again. It's okay to start from scratch. Hell, it's even okay to start from a recipe out of the box, like a box recipe. Amen. Like, it's okay. And I had to tell myself that, like, it's okay. Like, yes, I talked a lot about like being a full-time entrepreneur, and by this time, like, I wanted to have quit my 9 to 5 and just be doing my damn thing. But listen, like, things in my life changed and my priorities changed. And, I don't have, another person in my household bringing in income other than me. So with that being said, like, I had to change the whole way that I thought about how I bring in money and the risks, the amount of risks that I would take or I would be willing to take. Because the amount of risk that I was willing to take before is not the same amount that I'm willing to take now. Because I have a lot more to consider now than I did before. So for me, that's where I stand as far as like how what I thought my future would be has shifted. But for you, it could be something totally different. But I just want you to know, whatever it is, like, it's okay. And you may even have the opposite mindset from me. Like, you may be like, at first I was cool, like, working my job, like, I was content, but now I don't want to do that anymore. I want to spend my time crocheting blankets, and I want to sell blankets, and that's what makes me truly happy, and that's what I want to do. Whatever it is, that's okay too, and I think that we sometimes we're too hard on ourselves because we think that, oh, I should be doing this, or I said this, so now I got to do it, but you're miserable. Like, you're miserable, like, you're not fulfilled, you're unhappy, and it's causing literal, like, physical pain, like, for your body, like, and for me it's just not worth it. So please, if you don't take anything away from this podcast episode, please know that it's okay to change your mind. Like, it's okay to make a new plan, to start over, to try something different, try something new. Like, it's never too late either. Amen. Please don't think that, like, you're too young or you too old or your ship has sailed, because I don't believe that for myself. And, like, just, I always also too, like, I thought that it was too late for me, like, to start, like, a retirement plan and, like, investing, and come to find out it's not too late. So that's what I'm working on right now, building up my portfolio and all that good stuff, and learning about how I can get a portfolio started for my children and do better, do better with the information I have starting right now. And, pivoting with my business, like, taking a step back so I can regroup and figure out exactly how I want this to go, and how, I want this to play out for my best interest and not the best interest of others or looky-loos or anything like that. So yeah, don't be afraid to pivot. So that is going to conclude today's book club episode. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've been enjoying the book so far. I hope that it's been beneficial for you. And I hope that you're finding it beneficial for me sharing my point of view and kind of like where I'm at as far as my financial journey and some of the things that I'm doing. I just hope you find a benefit in all of it. Honestly, I just want to share this information with you guys because I found it very useful and helpful. So I just want to share it with all the mamas. So thank you again for tuning in this week. Don't forget to share the podcast with anyone you may think would find it helpful. Don't forget to hit that follow button wherever you listen to your podcast, and hit the notification bell so that way you're notified when a new episode drops. Also, too, don't forget the Motherhood is Ghetto Self-Care Journal for Mothers is available on Amazon right now. It will be linked inside of the show notes. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at motherhood_is_ghetto so you can keep up with me. You can laugh a little bit, all that good stuff. And thank you again for tuning in. And until next time, mamas. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Don't forget to follow the podcast and share with anyone who you think may enjoy it. And follow me on Instagram at motherhood_ghetto. Also, feel free to DM me if you have any experiences, opinions, or views on motherhood you'd like me to share on the podcast. Until next time, mamas.